That's where the adventure begins. 8 Huckleberry Road, Freeway Park in Boksburg. Andre's at work and the ladies are busy packing the vans. And me, I'm just chilling.
Hello, Lux. Ready for Botswana? Got bananas? I'm just fixing my little kitchen up here and my bedroom, getting ready for Andre.
This is Vilma Na's van. Let's see what she's up to.
Packing, but getting there. In this tiny little box that we're going to Botswana with.
The yard looks like Andre's got stuck into some pawn shop and brought home all the junk.
No, just asking.
Yeah.
You shut that hole
Yeah.
by this. There's even got a seat if there's a man who likes to see it.
I see, yeah.
Mine is now ready to go. Now why
Okay.
I've done this is because when we travel, and if I need a wee and we're not near a garage, pulls off the road and I come wee inside.
Okay.
At this unearthly hour of the morning, the aroma of coffee is really good.
Oh, I'm so exhausted. I'm tired of this holiday already.
After coffee, it's packing in those last-minute goodies.
Hey, beswaar. Oh, hier is zwaar.
Mama says packets. I'm taking packets. Like I love.
And then the adventure really begins. It's off to Botswana.
Botswana, here we come.
It was a nice warm Boksburg morning when we hit the road. We stopped at the petrol port just north of Pretoria for brekkies, a chat and a visit to the Minister of Water Affairs.
No, it's Botswana.
No, it's up to 27.
But it's not the hot 27.
Well, wait till you get there.
Feel like we're at the Ritz.
Then it was back on the road until we met up with Kathy and Ramona. After filling up with some juice, we headed for Martin's Drift, where we crossed the border into Botswana. At Kwanokeng, we bought some pulas before checking into the Kwanokeng Lodge. After setting up camp, Andre and Kathy seemed to have some private story about a vuvuzela. I still don't quite know what it was all about, but we had a good laugh anyway. Nothing like some chops on a braai to end the day. We were up bright and early the next morning and had a quick cup of coffee before hitting the road for Nata. "450 kilometers later, we arrive at Nata Lodge. What's it with these guys? They're forever drinking coffee. I just can't keep up.
Hey, sure, once we made it. Not a lodge.
No, I don't actually.
And I gotta get juice too.
Okay.
And not orange juice.
Ek sê baie gelukkig.
Lekker by die see.
finally happy to see you guys.
The lodge has a great bush feel about it and blends in beautifully with the environment.
Okay, time to go and set up camp, and then we're going to go on the tour on the salt pans. But here we go.
Camp was quite a sand pit with lots of sand all around, but hey, this is what we came here for.
Me up tonight, if you find me. Lovely.
Oh, well, then take two.
More. Eh?
Aye, the smallest always seems to carry the biggest load.
Kom die bedding.
Finally, we were all set up. Andre and Ramona doing a final check on the gear before going on a tour to Nata Sanctuary.
So in this Makari salt pans, that's where the pelicans and the flamingos come for breeding. But unfortunately this year, as you can see, we have some late rains, so it disturbed them. So then we are not going to see any flamingos or pelicans. By lucky, we might see a few number of pelicans at a distance.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from here we are doing 8 kilometers along the tarmac road and another 8 kilometers up to the main pan where we are going to wait for the sunset.
So we travelled a few kilometers along the tarred road to the Nata Sanctuary turnoff when we hit the dirt road towards the pan. Now here's a strange thing. Our guide told us that this small plover nests in the road and somehow the eggs never get broken. And as we get closer to the pan, the landscape changes all the time and very pleasing to the eye. The terrain at the pan was pretty flat, and yet there was a certain mystical feel about the place.
To confuse us.
There's nothing inside here, check.
Here Ramona is bending over backwards. Actually, it's forwards to take a picture of his lovely wife. As the horizon turns into different shades of gold, one cannot help but marvel at God's beautiful creation. Then something quite phenomenal happened. In the dying light of day, I took a photo of Andre as he stood alone on the pan, and the image produced a large white circle above him, quite eerie. Was Barbara there with him? It's been a long but wonderful day. Looking forward to just relaxing at camp.
Coming back.
Next one, so you got something
Once we manufactured about 10 of them, I'll pinch one of them.
We're here at Nata Camp,
No,
and we're having a nice coffee. We're going to hit the road just now, off to Kasane. 2 days in Kasane, and then it's Chobe.
With the not the Barney words, with the what are these things called? Malala palm.
What about what is the malala palm?
That is Andre's fruit. Andre's fruit that he's going to turn into key rings.
And what's the year for? I'm fine. What must I say this?
Yeah, I know.
The next morning we grabbed a quick cup of coffee before setting out for Kasane. And so we started our last leg of our trip towards Chobe, stopping periodically to watch ants at work.
An ant nest.
Ant nest. Wilma had a bit of a disaster. A water leak in her clothes cubicle in the van drenched all her tops, so she decorated our car to look like a windy dryer.
Yeah, I've got a dry top for tomorrow.
Maybe we were over anxious to get to Chobe. The 250-kilometer trip just seemed to go on forever. Finally, we arrived at Kasane, a small village that reminded me of St. Lucia in KwaZulu-Natal. We checked into the campsite of the Chobe Safari Lodge, a neat campsite with a very nice feel about it, right on the banks of the Chobe River, sharing our space with hippo, crocodile, vervet monkeys, and warthogs. We finished setting up camp just in time to admire the sunset across the Chobe River. What a sight to behold! Then the Fire King got the fire going and we put on a choppy and a buri on the braai before relaxing around the campfire. The next morning, we had a couple of warthogs making pigs of themselves on Romana's apples. Or were they Koo's apples? This was all cool, but Wilma didn't appreciate the bad breath at close range. Sure, this guy could pass for a scruffy Santa. Then everybody wanted to get in on the feeding action, until Kathy got more than she bargained for. Then there were other furry creatures that came and said hi, and some feathered friends, who were all one big happy family. We had booked a cruise down the Chobe River, but that was only at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we decided to spend the morning checking out some of the upmarket resorts in Kasane. We were very impressed with Chobe Safari Lodge that had a large deck overlooking the river. Here you could indulge in breakfast, lunch and dinner while taking in the view. Chobe Marina Lodge was something else. It was built around a massive baobab tree with like an atrium where we found a whole colony of mongoose, or was it monkeys, that entertained us for a while. It also had a large deck overlooking the Chobe River. What a lovely place to just chill out. After all that walking through Kasane, it was great to get onto the boat at 3 o'clock and just cruise. The river had a lot of extra water in from the good rains, which made it a lot more spectacular. We saw quite a bit of game on the shore, such as hippo, leguan, and a fish eagle, as well as a wagtail trying to do the two-step. This elephant had a bit of an identity crisis. Not sure whether it was an elephant or a hippo. Hey, where's my chomp? Watch the elephant coming out of the bushes.
Marable stocks.
Now, this little one is Mama's blue-eyed boy. If only he'd stop falling into the potholes. And then we bumped into Lips, a buddy of Dwayne and Eugene, who is in Botswana developing a safari lodge.
I saw one ellie.
One? Only one?
I thought maybe elephant.
Yeah, we're cruising on the
Because they're all
Joby
coming down
River.
to the water there.
Yes.
It's been fantastic. There's been all these elephants and small little one, little baby. It's the smallest elephant I've ever seen. A lot of marabou stalks. And it's been really, really lekker.
Cool.
Cool. Beautiful flowers, mirrored waters, peace and tranquility. What more can a man ask for to soothe a troubled soul? Even the crocs were at peace with their surroundings. The Morona is unique to Africa and especially Botswana. An array of crimson colors burns up the western sky as the sun sets on the Namibian horizon while we slowly head back to base. It's been a magnificent day in paradise. The next morning we took a final stroll to the lodge and enjoyed a cappuccino on the deck as we said goodbye to Chobe Safari Lodge. And so we left the comfort of Chobe Safari Lodge for the dirt tracks of Chobe National Park. The roads here were literally tracks, sometimes quite heavy sand. Certainly no place for a normal car. No 4x4, no go. We were hardly in the park when we had our first encounter with elephants. Very exciting. But no one told us that there were 20 million elephants in Chobe. Over the next few days, we saw hundreds of these large creatures in large numbers. Buffalo, another Chobe speciality, also large numbers and big herds. Ihaha camp was to be our home for the next 5 days. We had a prime site right on the water's edge. If you like the bush, what more can you ask for? We set up camp just in time to relax and enjoy the spectacular sunset, something we would experience for the next 5 nights. Oh boy, what more can one ask for? A campfire, a beautiful sunset, great friends. Money cannot buy this. The next morning the sunrise was just as good as the sunset. The baboons, which I call the clowns of the bush, spent the night in the trees next to our camp, and the next morning they entertained us for hours on end. On the game drive, we came across a warthog that were having a contest to see how many holes they could dig. And then there's the vultures in the tree. And when there's vultures in the tree or circling, you must know there's a kill nearby. And sure enough, a pride of lions had brought down a buffalo. And after eating themselves to a standstill, they spent the rest of the time catching a siesta and chasing vultures from their prize. Eventually, the lions gave up and moved on. The vultures and marabou storks moved in and ate until only Mr. Bones remained. And in the tree, happy vultures. What is nice about Chobe is that one is allowed to drive right on the water's edge, and it was on the banks of the river we picked a spot to have lunch.
Hello, Loopy.
Yeah.
Cheers. Lovely holiday.
The biscuits, there's the sweet chili sauce.
I put the cheese in the fridge.
With crocs around, I wasn't sure whether we were having lunch or whether we were lunch. Hey, I must have been in top form. Everybody's laughing. Ai, sister. Then we were off again to see what else is roaming around. We came across a pelican, kudu, and guess what? Elephant. And more elephant. And more elephant. Oh, we did see some giraffe. Back at camp, it was another perfect evening in paradise. The next morning, the sunrise was even more spectacular than the day before. The baboons coming down to drink, silhouetted against the orange sky, enhanced the beauty of the sunrise. And they loved basking in the early morning sun. These vervet monkeys had a major dispute, and I'm certain it wasn't over money. Gee, I wonder what it could be. A cold shower and a hot cup of coffee, and we were ready to hit the dirt tracks. It was just another humdrum trip when suddenly Wilma and I came across some wild dogs. Wild dogs were very scarce and shy creatures, so coming across 7 of them right next to the road was quite a bonus. We immediately tried to get hold of Andre and Romana, who had gone in a different direction, but by the time they got to us, the wild dogs had disappeared into the bushes, not to be seen again. After all that wild dog excitement, we took a drive to the elephant graveyard, with elephant skull and bones all over the place. Then it was back down to the river, to the lookout point that overlooks a cove where the game normally come down to drink. I got a bit distracted by some beautiful colored butterflies taking full advantage of the flower nectar.
I chased the bright elusive butterfly of love.
And then some buffalo came down to drink. We left the lookout point for a while and came across these guys. Now this is where the term white elephant comes from. The last time I saw something similar was in Etosha.
This is fantastic because nowhere else have we been able to ride on the water's edge like here. So you can drive all along the water's edge and you see elephant and you see crocs and you see hippos. It's absolutely fantastic. It's such a pleasure, and it's unique to Chobe. I mean, look behind me. Look at the elephant right here.
Then we came back to the lookout point to see a herd of elephant that had come down to drink. Lunch out here on the banks of the river was always something we looked forward to.
I've got a tiger in my tank.
On the way back to camp, we passed some giraffe, a large herd of buffalo, and some elephant. Game viewing is not complete without zebra. They always make such a nice picture. And this is the only way to travel in the bush. Back at camp, it's checking our picks and then starting up the fire and making a nice cup of coffee as we wait for the sun to set. The next morning the clouds were back, basking in the sun while we had coffee and some breakfast before setting out for another day's viewing. These lilac-crested rollers and fish eagles are really such beautiful birds. For some, all this viewing was just a little bit too much, so we headed back to camp to relax. Today is our last day in Chobe, and we intend making the most of it. These are really great shots of this fish eagle. Very envious that I never took them. Sure, it seems like all we do is eat, drink and take photos. What a life. This is a very uncompromising position, no matter who or what you are. It always feels good to return to camp after a day's viewing. Sadly, this is our last night. Tomorrow, Andre, Koo, Wilma and I head for Vic Falls, while Ramona and Kathy wait for us at Chobe Safari Lodge. Well, here we are at Vic Falls and getting our raincoats. We would find out later why we needed them. The spray from the falls was quite heavy, and at times it virtually rained like a major storm.
Here we are at Big Falls. A bit misty because of all the spray, but it's still lekker, and Wilma and I and Andre are going to go for a helicopter footage now. You guys see some spectacular footage. Just you wait and see.
It's full.
No way.
It's full.
You kidding me?
Yeah. So, I forced myself in anyway.
Oh, good.
And the reason I'm going is because it's the flight of angels. So maybe Duane and Bobby are up there
good.
somewhere.
This is Dr. Livingston, I presume. The good rains they've been having has pumped a lot of water into the Zambezi, making the falls really spectacular. Some cars you just can't take anywhere. I rest my case.
Well, this is Big Falls. It's been great. It's quite spectacular. Pity about the best. If only there wasn't mist, it would be so much better. But yeah, I guess that goes with the territory. But you can only see half of the big falls in the case, because the other half is so full of mist to see absolutely spot. But it's been absolutely fantastic.
This is for Barbie. You're here with us. I'm going to feel it. And Wayne, hold that arm around her up there, and both of you behave. Don't get into trouble with God.
We took the Flight of Angels, a helicopter flip over the falls. Very spectacular. Expensive, but a must-do. That was superb. Koo bought Andre a t-shirt that says, "I flew with angels over Victoria Falls." Very appropriate. We took a drive to the big tree before going to the casino. Not to gamble, just to check it out. The Victoria Falls Hotel is probably the oldest hotel in Victoria Falls. A grand old colonial style hotel overlooking the historical bridge that separates Zimbabwe from Zambia. After leaving Vic Falls, we met up with Kathy and Romano again and headed down to Elephant Sands, where we were to spend the night. This was quite a sandy camp, but it had such a nice feel about it. Sadly, our holiday is coming to an end, and we left Chobe. We're now at Elephant Sands, and it's called Elephant Sands because there's elephant and lots of sand. As I'll show you just now, there's lots of sand to get here to. Tomorrow we're going to Kubu Island. We've just been instructed by somebody that says that we can take the vans, so we're going to take the vans through. Hopefully we will be at King tomorrow night. If we're not there by tomorrow night, no, not tomorrow night, the next night. And if we're not there by the next night, well, then we'll probably be in Kubu Island for a week. That depends on the road. That's it. Cut. Ai, dis darem maar lekker. Kathy is determined to kill the tough steak. This is Kathy bragging. And Romana says, no, it's true. This is where we had 2 elephants come to drink water out of the swimming pool while we were sitting around a campfire just meters from them. I'm just so sorry I wasn't able to get any photos or video. The next morning we were up bright and early, hoping to find something by the watering hole. But all we found was a bunch of Dutchmen in their Orange Brigade that left Holland sometime in April and were heading for South Africa to watch the 2010 World Cup. Over the next few weeks, these orange people became quite a significant part of our lives. Then there was this guy that was skoon bosbe. Ek kan mos nie vloek nie. This oak never wears shoes and sleeps outside his vehicle, no matter how cold it is. Now, bosbe, ek kan verraggies nie so vloek nie. Now, I can think of a lot of other stronger words to describe this guy. After some sawdust breakfast, we set out for Kubu Island. It is only 90 kilometers from Nata to Kubu Island, but it took us 3.5 hours because the road is a mere track and varies from sand to corrugation to just plain bad.
We're on our way to Kubu, and we reached a mark that says 27.2 kilometers to Kubu on this little dirt track. And it literally is a dirt track all the way, and it's quite a bumpy dirt track, so we can't go faster than 30, sometimes pushing it 40 kilometers an hour. But 27 kilometers to go, and we're going to be in Kubu Island. Cool.
And then, of course, some clever oak got lost, so it took him 5 hours. Serves him right for having us worry. Finally, we arrived at Kubu Island. Now, when I first got there, I thought, now, what is all the hype about Kubu Island? But as the sun set and rose again the next morning, you realize what a beautiful place this really is. Now, these are the oaks I was talking about that got lost.
Well, here we are at Kubu Island. Sun is busy setting. We've got the vans out on the pan. We're going to do a bit of a photo shoot. And I'm sure we're going to get some really stunning pics.
And because he got lost, we made him sing for his supper. It was certainly worth getting up before the sparrows to see the sunrise. The blend of baobabs, rocks and crimson glow was definitely worth losing some sleep over.
You must do a good job.
I'm trying.
After breakfast, we took one final trip around the island before hitting another 50 kilometers of track again. The salt pans were quite something, with miles of absolute nothing. Ramona's favorite position. Some of us couldn't handle all this nothing and went bossies. And some of us were looking for bossies. And then they went bossies again. Koo got so excited she was doing cartwheels. And these chicks have definitely got the X factor. Andre seemed to want another point of view. Then it was back for the last stretch before hitting the tarred road. We were so happy to see the tar, we could have kissed it, and we did. Around the sanctuary was our last camp before heading across the border. Andre practicing to become a petrol jockey.
It was a fantastic trip. I'm glad we did it in honor of Barbara. We all had a great time. We had some fantastic laughs and sightings and great memories. And thank you all for coming with me.
It's not the end of the trip. I'm going back. No, it's been brilliant, man. But off to Boksburg now to see all the pictures.
It was an awesome trip. Thank you for everybody, and it's really something to do again.
It was an awesome trip, good people, had a great time, good sightings, and do it again.
This holiday has been wonderful. Absolutely a wonderful 4x4 experience. One of the best holidays I've had in a long, long time. We needed it. It was absolutely an experience that we've had. Wonderful company, friends, made new friends, shared ideas. It was outstanding.
It's finished. It's such a wonderful holiday and it's all come to an end. But we'll do it again next time. Not too distant future.
Thank you, Lupi, my wonderful husband, and Andre and Koo, and Kathy and Romana. It's been wonderful. And not forgetting our lovely Barbara that we came for. And this has been a memory for Barbara as well. Never ever forgotten, always in our hearts.
The music's for the sad man. Can you imagine when this race is won? Turn our golden faces into the sun. Raising our leaders, we're getting in tune. The music's played by the